Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Convo Houston Live with R.E. Chosen and special guest F.D. Sparkman.
Morning.
All right.
Morning. Grand
So,
Rise.
Grand Rising. So, this morning we're going to discuss renewing the mind. Last week's discussion, we talked about what is happiness. And we brought up what is happiness based on the topic prior, going in circles, and spiritual warfare prior to that. So today we are going to talk to you about renewing your mind. We've always discussed how to elevate to the next level, what things to address. So today we're going to start from the basis. And in order to make these changes that we've discussed in previous episodes, it all comes from renewing the mind. So before we get into that, Chosen, can you give us a recap of last week's show? What is happiness?
All right, good morning. Good morning. Once again, salutations. I hope y'all having a wonderful day. Y'all were able to get started on your day. So we talked about last night, if you were able to tune in, we talked about what is happiness. But you know, as me and Ari always shooting, we talking about what is happy. So what is happiness? What is happiness to you? What do you so we talked about, what could that happy place be? Like, what is your happy place? What makes you smile? And what do you do to protect it? You know what I mean? And in a nutshell, it was just a really, really free thought, effortless thinking topic. That's pretty much it. It was really nothing much to it. What does happiness mean?
Okay. So, Frederick, hey, you being the fact that you didn't give your input last week, can you go ahead and give us your perception on what happiness is real quick before we get into today's topic?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Happiness is a deception. Well, think about it like this. When you're happy, as the Bible tells you, you're happy when you accomplish something, when you find something, when something occurs, when people come and do certain things to you. It lasts for a moment, and it lasts for as long as you're riding on that high. But right afterwards, then you go back to real life. You're happy when something gets accomplished. You're happy when you've achieved something. It's not something you can drag on every day unless you're super incredible. But for normal people, it's not. Now, I would say the greatest goal is to master contentment, and it may feel just like it's being super happy, but there is a slight difference, and there's a variance in the way that your mind and the chemicals in your brain react to that feeling. But I would say,
Okay.
above all, the conception that people have of happiness is totally incorrect.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So we did learn that the consensus of happiness was momentarily, and it was based on certain things. We did come up with that last week. Okay. Good morning, Leroy. Thank you for joining Coffee and Convo Houston. So let's get into today's topic: renewing the mind. We understand that we can obtain knowledge that of things, self-help. If self-help books tells us things that we should do, steps to make in order to accomplish a certain goal. It could be something simple: smoking, stopping, drinking, to stop that, to better yourself, to get a new position at your company, even starting your own company. Everything that we do to elevate, we have to change some type of way we're thinking. Something in our thinking needs to change. So today, renewing the mind. And Frederick, you're going to take the lead on this right now, are you?
Sure,
Let's
why
go.
not? Okay, renewing the mind. Okay, it's like learning to do something. It's you start off like a child does. You don't really know what it is you're trying to do, but you muddle through. Everybody's different, and the way that our brains triggered is different. Some
Mm-hmm.
people they have emotional triggers. Some people have analytical triggers, like I read a book, or in my case, I would use a spiritual trigger. Whereas I'll get my brain to do something that I wanted to do without me putting any conscious effort into it. So
Okay.
it's a little bit different for everybody. But renewing the mind is basically rerouting what triggers you or rerouting what motivates you. Most people don't have the conception that emotions are temporary. When you think through an emotion, you change how you respond to that emotion. So let's say I'm angry and I talk
Mhm.
myself out of it. It's because you can do it. The problem with most people is they react in the moment rather than stopping, taking a breath, and analyzing the consequences. So the
Interesting.
whole part of renewing the mind, I would have to say in a nutshell, analyze the consequences of your thoughts before you react.
Okay. So now when I think of renewing the mind, I think of unlearning different behaviors, unlearning the uh, I'm not going to say the knowledge I've obtained, I would say, but unlearning different ways of accepting, taking in knowledge and applying what I've learned.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
retraining
okay,
your brain.
retraining your brain. Okay, chosen. What do you have to say about renewing your mind?
Both of y'all just said what I was gonna say. So um yeah, both of y'all just said like you really beat me to the punch because that was the first thing that I was gonna say about I think the first thing that you have to do whenever you are renewing your mind is unlearning. Remember, read is like
Unlearning.
read is like you've already done something. You've already done it. That's the only way you can know. So redo means you've already done it before. So you just go back and
Hmm.
do it again. So renewing your mind is, your mind was already there first. Now you have to redo it. So unlearning is like the first step that you take whenever you're renewing your mind or making everything fresh. So taking steps to do things that you haven't done and learning new things, like Frederick said, like the quote says, in order to have something that you never had, you got to do something that you never did.
Do something different.
So
Yeah.
switching it up, yeah, you got to do something different. Switching it up, and most of the
Adjust your
time, like
volume.
for instance,
You're kind of low there. Adjust your volume.
let's see what we have.
Okay, so Leroy says renewing the mind is making the mind new again, which will lead to different actions according to your new way of thinking. And that's what we're all agreeing on.
Yeah,
It's just retraining your mind to respond in a different manner. Okay,
I would
go ahead,
always
Frederick. You
add
got to
one
say
thing to
something.
that.
Okay.
Well, if you're renewing your mind, one of the first things you're going to have to do is to reject the old thoughts. So when that
Mm-hmm.
thought pops in your head, I reject that. No, I'm not going to do that. And you have to get yourself, because we're creatures of habit. So
Right.
when side things happen to trigger you, you respond the way you always have. So one of the first things you're going to have to do is begin to reject those old thought patterns, to reject those old emotions, and to reject those old behaviors.
Okay, so this is not a easy task. It's really not an easy task, is it? Because you have to really take yourself back to like a childlike manner, you know, and wipe the slate clean and start again. So, how would you suggest one go about renewing your mind in a simple manner?
You take what works, keep that, and throw away what doesn't out. That's as simple as I can get it.
Chosen.
I
What do you?
mean, when you look back on, remember what we said, like renew, redo.
Mhm. Again, it means
So, yeah.
repeat
So the
again,
reason
do
why,
again.
I think you're right. I think the reason why we have to do things again is because we weren't happy with how it was before. We weren't satisfied in the state that we were before, being it physically, mentally, or whatever. Um, you look back on it, I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna let this slide. What do
Mhm.
I need? It's a self-assessment too, as well. You take this self-assessment and, like Frederick said, you take what you don't need and you get rid of it. So if you need to have like some like your eating habits, um, You say,
Which
okay,
is
well,
what you
what
would
I
say
would normally
dieting
do,
is, right?
like
You
what
would
I
say
would
diet.
normally do, so
No.
not really necessarily, but it's like saying, well, what I would normally do to what I would normally, just an example for what I would normally do, I won't do this
Mm-hmm.
because it makes me feel this way, or it gives me this type of feeling whenever I do this. So I'll take I'll take that time to say I'll just do this different. It's something that has to be, I believe it's something that has to be, you have to want something, not to go back to something that you what you came out of. So it's basically renewing your mind, a made up mind, and say, hey, I'm not going back. Hey, I'm not doing it. So today let's just do this versus that.
Okay. So, Frederick, the Bible talks about renewing your mind.
Mhm.
And that would, I would say that applies to the knowledge that we're gaining from the Bible. And so when we're taking it in, we're taking it in to look at it and move in a different perspective than what we've learned out here in this world, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
but
Okay.
that's why you
Can
have to protect.
the old
See,
way of
life
thinking.
is a, yeah, well, you got attraction and repelling. So
Okay.
you want to reject whatever it is you don't want coming at you. The only way that you can ever really deal with the enemy, the two cannot come together unless they be agreed. So when you agree with what the enemy is shoving into your head, your actions are going to respond. When you
Okay.
reject what's coming into your head, your body's going to be still because it's trying to figure out what the mind is up to. So you won't have those automatic reactions anymore. You ever been getting ready to do something just like you used to before, getting ready to throw something, then you think about it and be like, I'm going to have to clean up this mess.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to deal with now, if I
You
slam
better
this
not
door
give up.
like this or do this, I might break this, and that's gonna cost me another $20.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you have to
Good.
interject reality into
That's
your
what I was about
fantasy
to
mode. So
Okay.
I mean, you
So
can't just allow yourself
let's
to
chosen.
think what you used to think.
Okay. So chosen, how would you apply renewing your mind to love?
Ooh, renewing your mind to love. Uh, you got self love first, so it comes with that.
Okay.
So if you feel like, hey, if I have a significant other and I want to love her better, the first thing you got to do is love yourself better. What are the things that you know that you should do that you haven't done? Okay, um, maybe you haven't, maybe you didn't take a lot of time uh, in areas like studying that person, studying yourself to see, okay, this I benefit from this and I don't benefit from that. And what I used to do, sometimes you can get into the point to where you do something, you do the wrong thing so long that it feels
It
just
feels
right.
normal.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it feels normal. So, that's when we step into dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? Where you
Okay.
start to function you start to function at the way you're not supposed to, and you're dwarfing yourself. So in order to love, it's like just basically, once again, there's no way around it. You make up your mind to figure out what is it that is going to benefit me, and you have to learn the two. So if you're dealing with yourself, which is where it starts, okay, this benefits me, this does not benefit me. Um, uh, let me not do this. Let me try this, even though this bore a certain amount of pain, it still felt good. But let's just try something different if we want to be benefited. If we want to benefit ourselves and our relationship, we need to do something.
I want to
Okay.
touch on that.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens when you got those people that hate themselves? I mean,
Mm,
I was one of
interesting.
those people. And the way that I learned it was like the Bible says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, people hate themselves because of the way they react, because of the way that they think, because of the things they do. Now, what I've learned is when I do to other people treat them the way I would want to be treated, when I do unto them as I want them to do to me, regardless of what they do, then I learned that I began to, as Chosen put it, love myself, because I was responding in a way that I could respect and admonish. Well, not admonish, but I would say, congratulations, you did it right. I mean, most people, they smash themselves and everything when they make mistakes and they screw up and they say, I'm always messing up. But if I can get this one thing right, if I can get this one thing right, I can get a second thing right. If I can get a second thing right, I can walk into a third. It's all baby steps to get there. But the more that I do things the way that I know they should be done, the more I love myself. And as I love myself, I express that inner love outwardly.
Good deal. Okay, so we have a comment here. Leroy says, self-analysis needs to take place concerning all that has been learned over a lifetime and evaluate what new things will become a part of your new way of thinking, while using a self-filter to weed out the old thoughts that will try to raise up to react on the old manner, which would cause you to become a recipient to old and terrible outcomes. Basically paying attention to, go ahead.
I would say that. I would say that self-filter is the word. It's like the Bible says, when you're looking into the mirror, you know what you look like. So if you're not in the word, you ever notice that when you stay away from the word, you forget what manner of person you are? But when you get back to it and start pointing at all those little faults and stuff that you have, you're like, I need to make some changes. I was doing this before. I don't know why I stopped.
Okay, but see, I think that's basically what he's saying, you know, using a self-filter to weed out the old thoughts that will try to raise up.
I was just breaking that down a little bit. You told me to keep it simple.
Okay. All right, so you're saying the self-filter would be the word, which is the scripture.
Yes.
Okay, which makes sense because we're supposed to emulate that. We're supposed to live that. Okay, so that makes sense. So if you take your life and you analyze it through the eyes of the word, you will see where basically we're dropping the ball and where our mind needs to be renewed and what to put in that place.
Correct.
See,
all right. The mind doesn't know what you're telling it is true or untrue. It just accepts what you're telling it. So when you're throwing the word into your mind starts to grab hold of the word, and that begins to move your actions. So if what I'm doing doesn't coincide with the word, I keep saying the word, my emotions, my actions, my thoughts, and everything else is going to start slowly lining up with the word because I keep interjecting the word in there. As long as I'm putting the word in there, I'm gravitating towards what I'm speaking.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask, when we are learning a new habit, learning new knowledge, taking that in, you know how sometimes when you read a scripture, it means one thing to you at that point, which means it meets you at that level that you are on. And when you go back and read it again, it means something else, but it's meeting you at the level that you're on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's the same as learning a new habit. It's like when you learn something new, you might learn the basics of it and you can get it down, but you start to your experience, the constant use of it, you become more proficient at it. You become better at it. Yes.
Okay, the first time you get that new lamp, you're like, okay, what I got to do without breaking this? Okay, then you're moving and you're looking at the screws and you're lining it up and you're getting it in there. The next time it goes, takes you 2 seconds. You walk over there, screw, walk away, click, it works.
It works.
See, the first time, you got to see everything it is you need to do. The second time, you already know what to do. Now you're refining the steps that you take, which is faster. Like they always say, practice makes perfect.
Right. Practice makes perfect. Okay, so Ro, we were talking about renewing your mind when it comes to love, and you said it starts with self-love. Okay, doing a self-assessment, knowing if what you want the different outcome that you want. And I brought this up because you know how when you go into a new relationship and you say, well, I don't want the same things to happen in the last one, so you start changing up things. And that ex will say, well, you weren't like this when we were together, but you done gone back and you done made assessments of that previous relationship and changed some things to suit what you're trying to get out of this. So it may cause you to treat your significant other a lot better. You start to listen more closely, to be a more attentive, and spending more time things you when you go back in and assess these things. But as we've stated, renewing the mind is a challenge, but it's necessary to advance to that level that you're trying to advance to. Okay, so we've talked about how renewing the mind to learn new things, to grow to the next level, starting with love. And this is also something we apply in the workforce, correct? And I'm asking you, big time. Okay, so come on and touch on that for us, please. Because I mean, let's be realistic.
Yeah, so I'll take the station like in the we'll go from what renewing how you are in the workplace.
Okay.
Let's just be honest. Most of us, when we started working, we're like, okay, I'm just here to get a check.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just here to get a check. I want to do my time and go home. So it's like I don't need to. I don't want to worry about this. I don't worry about that. This is none of my concern. This is. So when you get to that point, you take on a lot. I believe you take on the I don't care personification
Mentality, yeah.
Me, the mentality, that mentality is just me, and then I'm gonna do this. But the older you get, and then you learn, okay, well, I wasn't as productive, and so this job let me go because of that. It was because I wasn't a part of the team, or it was because I wasn't an asset. So then you start learning, hey, in order for me to be an asset, I need to be able to enjoy what it is that I do. So maybe you'll start looking for that job that lets you show your skills and somewhere that you really like to be at, a place where you like to be. So then whenever you finally do get to that place and the point where you start becoming, because now it's not just a paycheck. Start realizing it's not just a paycheck. It's a place that can help benefit my livelihood. And then that will also coerce you to take on a sense of responsibility. And then and then if you're working with other people, then you may start being like, okay, this is the team that I'm with. Let me see how I can help the team. So you do that self-assessment again, and it's like, okay, what are my strengths, and how do I help the team? And then you work on yourself with stuff like that, because at that one point in time, you weren't like that. You didn't basically care. So you get to this workplace where it's showing you, oh, shoot, I got these benefits. I got more money. I got more reasons for now. I have way more reasons for me to do what I need to do and be who I need to be in this workplace. So it's the same thing that you can take over into when you're talking about relationships. Now let's go back a little bit to when you were talking about how that ex might be like, well, you didn't do this when I was here. Now think about this. Now let's say sometimes you didn't. How many times have you heard like the In Vogue songs? It said you made the change, but the change came too late, or whatever. So it's like you can't say that I wasn't like that. It's just that whenever I did finally understand what it wasn't too late for me. It was that you had already decided that you were going to move forward, or you had already been looking at what it is. I had already started making the changes, but those changes didn't appeal to you because now it became something that wasn't important to you. So whenever you do finally get out of that area and that situation, you're like, okay, you know what? I started making these changes and I'm not going to stop. You know what I mean? So it's like, now let me look at myself. What is true to me? So whenever you start renewing your mind, those are the things that you need to start taking account of. What is true to me? Because we also have to remember, when you're in a relationship, you take on whether you want, we can deny it all we want, you take on a different identification. You take on a different identity. So different things or different people might cause you to tap into things that you didn't even know were there. So it's new. So whether you felt like, okay, I don't like confrontation, but I need to be a better protector. So you get into those areas where you have to have confrontation. Now you got to learn which ways are true to you to deal with it. You might be somebody that can understand how to make you might be somebody that that let a lot of things slide because you feel like some things are not worth the battle. And then you look back on yourself and you're like, well, I did let this slide. I did let this slide and let this slide. So how did it affect me? I probably would have posed to be more of a force to be reckoned with had I checked XYZ instead of this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you get to that point and you starting to do that new thing, you start doing that new thing. Okay, I don't like this. Now let me start addressing it. Even if the little stuff, you start learning how to address it. So that's you being able to find out what is truly you, and then you start re-identifying yourself, and you start getting yourself back and something.
Good morning, Melissa. Thank you for joining Coffee and Convo Houston. Good morning, Rochelle. We didn't say good morning to Rochelle. She came here. Good morning, Rochelle.
Yeah, good morning, Leroy. Good morning, Melissa. Good morning, Rochelle. We got 4. What I'm looking at, it might be less than that now, but good morning, everybody that's tapped in. Glad you're here. With us.
Okay. And today we're talking about renewing the mind. And what I want to do is try to hit different things. Okay. So we've talked about, life in general, life itself, changing your habits and things. And then we're talked about renewing your mind when it comes to love. And we just spoke on renewing your mind in the workplace. Now
y'all did. I didn't get that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Speak your mind on renewing your mind in the workplace.
One of the biggest things that I've learned about work is it's like marriage. You can have a bad marriage and you can have a good marriage. Where do you spend all of your time? At work. And one of the things I've learned about work is the average person knows what to do, but they won't do it because they come up with little cockamamie excuses. They ain't paying me enough money to do this. It's everybody else's responsibility. I'm not the boss. But I've learned one thing that will make your job into a fairy tale: anticipation. If I anticipate this boss before he even opens his mouth to come tell me to do something, I find that, wow, they leave me alone and let me do my thing. I mean, when I first started this job, they were like all over me because they didn't know what I was capable of. And the more I began to anticipate and bring things to them, to their attention, I find that nobody even bothers me. Oh, no, that's Frederick. There you go. There you go. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. If you keep yourself busy, you pass the time. Before you know it, it's time to go home. The hardest thing at work is to pretend to be working.
Doesn't that take more energy than actually working?
Yes, it does.
That is true. Okay. But that's just like when you're at work and you see trash on the middle of the floor. Do you know if you take the time to actually pick it up, that
it's no longer there. It's no longer
yeah. And it puts a light on you that wasn't there before because you're doing a job that's not yours.
Anticipation. Now, it is your job to keep the place clean. It's everybody's job to keep the place clean. It's everybody's job to keep the place safe. It's everybody's job to push product out that door or whatever it is that you do. You do your part. You don't have to match everybody else. You do what you're good at.
But we mentioned how when you initially started working, Chosen mentioned when you initially started at a company, you're only there you have the mentality that you're there just to collect the check. I'm going to do this, do that, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So that's why I mentioned that, because not many employees will actually take the time to pick up some trash on the floor because they say things like, that's why they have a janitor.
True, but you also got to remember, we're renewing the mind. If you spend most of your time at work, you don't think you're going to bring those habits home. Because I find myself picking up, let me move this, let me do that. I don't need her to do this. I'll get this done. I'll do this over here. She won't have to do it.
Right.
When you eliminate thinking about just you get so much done.
Yes. Okay, so I want to touch this. I think one of the life's events, one of life's main events that forces you into renewing your mind quicker than anything is parenthood, becoming a new parent. Now, I want Frederick, I want you to address that real quick. Parenthood, renewing the mind.
The biggest thing that you need to know about being a parent is that you should be deathly afraid of your children.
Please tell us why, please.
Because the Bible says that their angels are before God's face day and night. So every little thing you do to them is getting reported. You ever notice that when you do something to your child, it gets done to you?
Interesting.
Well, you don't want none, don't start none. So one of the biggest things I learned, it was like my son, he was asking me all these questions. And he was like, why? Then I remembered myself asking the Most High, why? And my answer to him was God's answer to me. If I tried to explain it to you, you wouldn't understand. So just do what I told you until you understand later. But for now, just do what I told you.
Okay.
Chosen. If you ever really, now think about it. Hold up, I want to hit on one thing. Okay. When I have my family here, well, not here, but at the other place, you never break your word to your children, if at all possible. You want to know why?
Tell us why.
How do you feel when somebody breaks their word to you?
Oh, wait.
People dismiss their children like they're non-entities. But I've noticed that whenever you keep your word to your child, God makes a way. Every single time. Let's say you got to pay a bill, but you're supposed to be paying your child their allowance. I will pay them their allowance first. Overtime will pop up. This will pop up and I will sell this. Keeping your word is paramount. It doesn't matter if it's to a child. It's more important because that child's angels are reporting on you right now. They're in God's face.
That's interesting because Chosen, you and I have discussed how go ahead. You take that. Go with it.
The other day, and we were talking about we started out talking about children ought to be seen and not heard, and how we don't believe it. And in Isaiah, I talked about, and a child shall lead them. Which goes right into what Frederick just said. The child shall lead them. Becoming a new parent or becoming a parent, it'll definitely make you rearrange some furniture, and then thank God, I have to call it rearrange some furniture. It'll make you rearrange some furniture, because what's another thing that we sit up there and we say, well, we're younger. When I have kids, I ain't never doing what you.
I ain't gonna never do that, right?
Thing about it, and the one thing about it is we look at it, because what did I say that night? I said that because everything said I will allow my children to express themselves to me, because when I was growing, I looked at my parents, and my parents weren't all the way perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was like certain things that I did not agree with what my father or my mother said and how they did things, and you were supposed to have a different mind. So knowing that when your woman, your significant other, your wife comes to you that very first day that says, I'm pregnant, the first thing that you start doing is you start thinking about all the things that you need to remove or you need to rearrange within yourself and say, oh, it's gonna get real. She about to drop this, I'm not gonna do this. Then you start thinking about all of those things. So whenever you get done with that 9-month training session, and your bouncing baby boy or girl hit, you know what I mean? You start executing that plan, and then you start watching them grow up. And like Frederick said, everyone should definitely feel their child. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, hey, now you're watching me. You're looking at me. What I do, you're gonna gravitate towards doing. So it definitely has an automatic reset button, because you're gonna push that bad boy as soon as you hear them 2 words, I'm pregnant.
Right. Okay. So now, Frederick, you have a book about this. Let's quickly touch on renewing the mind when it comes to money.
Well, That's easy, because the first thing you have to do to renew your mind when it comes to money is stop doing it in your head. You need a budget. Write it down. Put it in Excel. Put it somewhere you can see it. Put it somewhere you can constantly adjust it. If your mind is always on where you spend your money, you're more mindful of how you manage your money.
Okay. Okay.
So you have to be able to see what it is you're doing. If you're not looking at it and it's in your head, how many times can I make you drop your thought just by speaking to
Whew.
you?
Yeah.
Well, if I made you drop your thought, okay, you just forgot about this bill.
Yeah.
No, not definitely.
I understand that. So for those of us out there that do our accounting and bookkeeping in mind, that's where we're messing up. That's where we're messing up. We need to put it down. We need to see it. We need to be able to go to it when necessary. All right.
Need to adjust it.
And okay. So we covered what? Self, career, parenthood, money, and okay. Relationships, chosen, renewing the mind, health.
Oh man, well, I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but I'll go back and reiterate. Man, you wake up and you start feeling sluggish, and you're tired of feeling the way that you've been feeling. You got headaches. You don't want to deal with this anymore. So you start trying to find out what is the trigger for all of these things. And sometimes even without anybody telling you these things, you feel these things. You say, okay, man, you know what? I ate this yesterday. I'm not going to eat that. Let me see what happens if I eat this. So certain people don't drink milk anymore, like regular milk. So their alternative is almond milk or whatever, or what have you. Okay, it's better. So you start thinking about what are these things that I'm going to be able to do to stop making me have these either ailments, or what can help diminish, or if not cure this affliction and everything. It's self-assessment. Again, when you start feeling these pains and discomfort, it's all a warning. So whenever you start feeling it, you start delving into yourself. Okay, what is it that I can do to make myself not feel this way? And you have to really diagnose yourself, basically. But I'm not saying don't go to the doctor, but let's be real. You better than the doctor does, because when you go to the doctor describing what it is that is wrong with you, we don't know all of the real terminology of what this is, or how many people actually go to the doctor. Well, I think there's conjunctivitis in my left lung or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So you messing yourself up. You don't know all that terminology, all the way. Well, most people don't know all that terminology. The only thing you can do is say, well, when I wake up in the morning, I feel this, and then the doctor has questions. So when the doctor is asking questions, it's like, okay, let me get to the closest thing that I feel that is wrong with you. But you yourself wake up and you know exactly what it feels like, and you know exactly how long the duration is and everything. So you have to kind of get in there and be like, okay, what am I doing? What could I possibly be doing or ingesting to make myself feel unhealthy or feel like me? And you start going from there. You say, okay, all right, maybe I need to stop eating a whole bag of Reese's Thins. Maybe I need to not eat these Pringles no more. You know what I'm saying? And then you start doing that. You start there. It's renewing. It's unlearning, and it's renewing when it comes to health.
Okay. So and we're addressing many different things because it all comes back to renewing the mind. Everything starts from the mind. That's it. So we're touching on different things because it all comes from there. Go ahead, Frederick. I see you want to say something.
Actually, you're doing a thought process. The brain doesn't think. When you get ready to make a change, do you only think about, okay, I'm going to put air in my tires? Or do you think about all the other things that have to go with that?
All the other things that have to go with that.
Most people try to force their brain into this box. Whereas you let your mind flow free and you will always go to your solution. So if you think, why is this happening? And your brain gives you 20 different things. Go and look at those 20 different things. You will most likely find that a few minor adjustments has the greatest amount of impact in all those little areas. Let your brain do what your brain does. Your brain attacks problems. Let it do that.
Okay. All right. So we have 20 minutes. If we have any questions from our viewers or any comments that want to be, you want us to expound on, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And while we're getting ready to do bullet points, all right. And before we go into bullet points, please like, share Coffee and Convo Houston live with RE and Chosen. You can find us here, of course, on Facebook and on YouTube. Chosen, bullet points.
I mean, basically, in a nutshell, what you really want to do when you're talking about renewing your mind, you start looking at, hey, like RE said earlier, wiping the slate clean. You start getting the drawing piece of paper. You don't like what it is, put it in the throw it away. Many chances to do that as you can. Every day it's like a brand new canvas. So start off with that. You start off with a brand new canvas, and then you start building on it. Then, hey, if you don't like what's coming out, and then just every day. But it's always a constant thing. Unlearn how to gravitate towards those behaviors that got you in the first place to get the feeling that you need to renew or redo or renew your mind. The way that you think. It's an unlearning process. Okay, listen, where I probably wouldn't read a book, let me go over here and read this book. Or where I feel like I need understanding in higher places, I need to go to higher places to be able to get the higher learning. You know what I mean? And so that's pretty much it. Just, when you renewing everything, it's just, hey, man, we moving furniture.
So, but you was like,
and I'm gonna move.
Doing a pros and cons of your life assessment, right? That's basically what you're saying. Pros and cons. Assess yourself, pros and cons, what's good for you, what's beneficial, what's not beneficial, and eliminate what's not beneficial for you. Make some changes, rearrange furniture, like you said. Okay. Frederick, bullet points.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
I like it.
I like it. I like it.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I like it.
Life is about problem solving. Life is about problem solving. Even when you're blessed, it's still not without the absence of problems. The better you are at solving problems, the easier your life is going to be.
I like that. Now, for those that aren't too good at problem solving, how would you suggest they work that out?
The same way everybody else does. Make a whole bunch of mistakes and figure it out.
Trial and error.
Yeah. Trial and error.
Yeah. Okay.
This don't work. Okay, that didn't work. Let me try this. That didn't work.
Right. Now, that's the best experience too. But you can also, but what usually works for me is
research.
I surround myself with people that have real good insight, research too, and I surround myself with people that have already come through that problem, and I ask for that solution. How did you do it? Because you show me and help me how to do this, and that way, not only am I gonna know how to do it, I'll learn how probably to do it the most efficient way. Because sometimes, as a man, if it's something that I didn't know how to do, I'll look at it. And you'll look at, okay, this comes from here. Okay, so how can I stop this from doing this? Okay, if I cut this, then it might stop leaking, or it might do this. But then you can get it done, but that's the long way, but that's your experience. But then if you sit up there and you know somebody that's versed in that, and you call them and you ask them, they show you a whole new different way. At first, you didn't even need to cut that. All you really need to do is go here, find a source, and turn this to the right, close it off, and it won't start doing that. Then maybe now you can have more time to tie this around this and maybe replace this. Boom, you got it right there. So there's many ways to have solutions to a problem. Frederick, there is nothing wrong with what you said. Trial and error is always the best teacher. But then at the same time, when you have a counsel, that right there can save you time too, and you can learn at the same time.
You have to have proper and wise counsel.
This
Because
is
just
true.
because you're sitting up talking to people does not necessarily mean they're giving you the best advice, the best
See, that
perspective.
that goes right in the hand in hand in what my thought process was. Glean from anyone you can. Chew the grass, spit out the hay. If it don't work, throw it away. If it does, keep that portion. You can learn from any and everybody. One little thing here, one little thing there. If it doesn't work for you and it doesn't fit what you're trying to do, you toss away what you don't need. Keep what you do.
I love the way you just wrapping that up. Okay, we have a comment here. Leroy says, instead of following the ways of the world, we should follow the ways of God in hopes that we will get it right the first time rather than prolonging the blessings of God. Look at that.
Yeah, but
I'm
the
telling
question
you,
was, how do we do this if they don't know? Now, you didn't ask me how I do it. You asked me how will people do it that have never done it before and they're going to make mistakes. So that's where I went
if
with
they
it.
aren't good with problem solving, but I understand what he's saying. Instead of looking at the world to help you solve your problem, you should seek that information from God. I understand exactly what he's saying.
But see, that goes hand in hand too, because if you ask God to do that, God will put you in the presence of people that can help you.
That can help you. Now, with that, what about those that don't ask for help? This goes back to issues with renewing the mind, right? Because they won't ask for help.
That's because
let's be real.
Pride. PRIDE. If you really want to know.
Pride. Yeah, let's be real about that real quick. Everybody in the world needs help.
Go ahead, Chosen. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, Frederick, he had it.
You already said it. Everybody in this world needs help. To think differently,
everybody needs help.
That you're the only person out of 300 and some billion or 7 billion people that don't need nobody else's help. Sure. So you went to school and sat in class because you didn't need nobody else's help. Or you went to the doctor and got operated on. You didn't need nobody else's help. So somebody cooked you a meal and you ate it because you didn't need somebody else's help.
Oh yeah, because you knew how to cook that already. Try me.
Okay, so even with the issues of pride, you do have to start at renewing your mind somewhere. Understand that you're not God. Not God. Yeah, that's it. You're not God. You need help. Okay. So Chosen, you have anything else you want to say out about this topic?
Get some help. I mean, everybody needs help. That's all I gotta say. Like,
don't be afraid to ask for help.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, the most I think you develop a sense of stubbornness, and you close your mind off, because everybody has different insight on what it is. People are here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? That there are billions and billions of people on this planet for a reason. They're here for you to talk to. Yeah, it's some messed up people that have
individuals,
messed up minds. There's messed up individuals, but then if you go back to the spiritual and you start asking God for guidance, He will put people in there, and He will show you who is for your highest good and who isn't. And after that, you have to do your due diligence and make and what you will allow and will not allow, and how are you going to get this get this solved, get this problem done. Who is for the solution and who is giving you pollution, so to speak. So
I like that.
That's it, So, that's all it is to it. But get you some help.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Frederick, you have anything else? And is there any one of your books that covers this?
What, problem solving?
Renewing the mind?
Oh, dude, I talk about that in all of them. So, I mean, the biggest problem that you have to deal with is you. So, I always start off there first. I would say that the greatest thing in the world is when I was in Germany, and on our hangar door said, behind these doors are the soldiers that make the impossible a reality. Everything starts with one thought: I can do it. Nothing is impossible. As long as you believe that you can do it, you don't have to be by yourself. It's like I taught my son, don't tell me what you can't do. Ask me for some help if you can't do it alone.
I love it. I love it. That's an awesome foundation right there. Building on I can do it. That's awesome. I mean, it's like looking at, like you said, a problem. You know, I don't like calculus, but I'm sure if I sat down and applied myself, I could possibly solve it. You know, so it's the problem solving aspect is basically to try to find a solution. Okay, I like it. I like it. All right. If we have any other comments from our viewers, this will be the time. And I wanted to ask you, Frederick, you said all of your books address renewing the mind. And like we tried to hit different topics with renewing the mind. And I'm sure you have how to rightly divide the word, which will be your foundation when you started, right, for helping people renew their mind.
Yeah,
okay.
The Beginner's Guide and Workbook, How to Read and Understand Your King James Version of the Bible.
Okay.
See, read and understand, those are two different things.
To read and understand, which still all goes to renewing your mind, because now we have to take the knowledge that we've learned out here in the world on reading and understanding. And most of us did not read and understand. We were told what it said and what it meant.
Exactly.
In the church. Okay. So when we go in to read and understand, to renew our mind, and then you have the Breaking the Poor Man's Guide to Poverty.
Or the Guide to Break the Poverty Cycle.
There it is.
The circles.
That is about
the one I love the most is the Friendship Manual. The Friendship Manual basically covers the first two, because without good friends, friendship is the only journey you can ever take that you cannot take alone.
Okay. And again, these books all address renewing your mind, seeing different aspects of life through a different lens. Okay.
Yes.
And Chosen, we don't talk about your music often, but what people don't know is that your music gives a renewed insight to relationships.
Yep.
Correct?
It also states too, talking about where it all begins.
Go ahead and speak on that.
Where that begins, the greatest adversary you will ever face is yourself. When I found myself alone, it wasn't because some chose to walk out on me, but it was time for me to make it do what it do in order to elevate. Therefore, the likes of me cannot be in like with you. If the seventh day is sinking, we don't sing the same tune. So you can look into the sky and safely say that the sun still shines even when the sky is gray. Now I can be at ease and take a minute and breathe, because no matter what, after this, my enemies will be fallen and defeated, because what I didn't know for sure, now I know. But what I didn't know before, now I know for sure, is I had to learn me go so I could beat ego, which is the very first track, the intro into that album, which is basically saying, hey, in order for me to renew myself, I have to face myself. And to face myself, I have to learn what it is that I didn't know at first was I have to let myself go so that I could be ego, because ego is yourself. And
all right.
Catch that. In that poem, I just listed every name of the songs that are on that album.
Yes, you did. So pick up verses.
Okay, so if we're going there, be ye renewed in the spirit of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Look at that. Amen. All right. So thank y'all for joining Coffee and Convo Houston live with RE and Chosen. Special guest FD Sparkman. I hope today's episode, Renewing the Mind, helps you elevate to the next level. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or any topics suggestions for the show, please drop us a line at Coffee and Convo Houston gmail.com. We'll be sure to get back at you. Till then, till next time, have a lovely Sunday.
God bless.